Thanks for stopping by again. It's time for the third video in my series where I critique pilots. Now this is all by their request. They send me videos, they ask me to please take a look at them and make comments, and you get to watch and follow along as I do that. This video is from a man named Victor Yancovitz. He's out of Brazil, flying an extra 300 midwing. I don't know Victor. He sent this to me and asked me to take a look at it. It's really exciting. He says he's preparing for the 2022 World Aerobatic Advanced Championships in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I'm happy to help him out. I don't know Victor, but I do know a Brazilian named Francis Barros. I met him in South Africa last year. Really great guy, and I hope to see him again sometime and fly with him. So this is just a real opportunity, great opportunity for me to get to know somebody who's flying outside of the U.S. It's really exciting to see that. I don't know anything about what it's like to fly in Brazil. I'm sure there's a lot of differences. I'm sure it's largely the same. Just going to be really just see what he does. Now, he's going to be flying his Advanced Free Known from 2018. If you're not familiar with how SIVA does things, the International Aerobatic Body, they do things a little different than IAC. They give you 5 figures, and then you add 5 figures to it to make your free known. Instead of having a separate known and then a separate free program, they combine it into one. And I think it works great. I've flown that way, and I really like it. Okay, we have a safety roll. Good. Looking good. I really like that format. To me, it's more interesting. We did try it in the U.S., and I thought it worked out okay. There are some issues with the free unknowns, a little more complication for the organizers, which make it hard for us to do. But the free known, I think, is a really strong idea, and I hope we go back to it and give it another shot. I think it's worth another shot. So, like I said, it's the free known. It's a combination of his figures and SIVA's figures that they gave to him. It's from 2018. The first figure is going to be a lay down Humpty. He'll pull to 45, snap roll, and then push to a 45 down inverted, to a 4, pull level, and that'll be the first figure of the sequence. Looks like he's going to dive in. So let's watch his wags. And I would say probably the 300 can roll a little faster than that. So let's make sure we use full deflection for those. And let's go ahead and watch as he pulls. And right off the bat, now I got to take a moment to tell you, I just recorded like a 15-minute video. I got about halfway through this thing, and then I made a mistake, so I had to go back over it. So I've seen this before, but this angle here is steep, and I think that's great. There's no problem with it being steep. It should be a little steep. That's what the judges seem to like. So no problem. I just want to point out that I see it, and it's okay. Now let's continue on here. And we have a snap roll, which is very hard to judge from this vantage point, but obviously the wing is a little high on the left side, and you can see the sight is now aligned with the horizon, so you've lost that steepness. If you're going to be steep, you have to stay steep throughout the figure. Make sure that line stays constant. And now it's too bad you couldn't see my reaction the first time because the tissue paper is hilarious to me. I don't know what's going on there, facial tissue or whatever. Okay, 2 of 4 looks good. No complaints. Short after possibly, otherwise looking very good. And now we'll pull vertical for figure 2. It'll be pull vertical, 2 of 4, and then right here, you can see how this is not quite vertical. The horizon line looks like this, and the sight is just slightly higher compared to the horizon here than here. When I first saw this, I thought it was maybe on purpose, but it doesn't look like it because I remember now that after 2 of 4, it's more lined up. So I think it's just an accident. You're a little positive. Now, good job keeping it there. It's nice you're not adjusting it, but let's make sure we're aware that we're positive on this line. Now for 2 of 4, that's short, and then it's made up here, which is all right. It's a mistake, but we're going to make mistakes. You did a good job of continuing to fly. That's number 1. It's continue to fly. Don't fix. And also don't soften. You know, maybe you'll miss some things, but that's okay. Never second guess yourself. Good roll down. Maybe a touch short after again. Now figure 3, pull vertical. It'll be a half roll, and again, we're positive here. And now we're negative, and then the push happens. So right there, we're positive going up. We do a half roll. Naturally, we're going to be negative, and then push. So I'm just wondering if I were working with you over and over, Victor, if I would see that happen a lot where you're positive, you're not paying enough attention, or why that's happening. It's 2 times now. Make sure that you're getting vertical, and if you aren't, then don't fix it. Just stay on that line that you chose. We're going to do a hammerhead now. And again, I said this last couple of videos, I think that might be a little early. People tend to kick early, so be aware of that. The snapper looks pretty good, a little slow, but doesn't look bad. And a little short after again, I think. Very common to be short after. Now, figure 4 is, and you might be a little slow here. You might be able to get a little faster in that line down. So pull to 45, half roll. looks pretty good. A little short after here, pushing vertical looks pretty good. There's the tissue paper. 2 of 8. Now that 2 of 8 didn't look as crisp as it could, and that goes back to the very beginning of that figure. At the beginning of figure 4, this is why you want to have as much speed as you can into something like that. You want to pull for the 45, wait, half roll, wait, push, little pause, 2 of 8, hammerhead. It has to be crisp. Everything has to be very crisp. A little more space between 2 of 8 would be nice, but you're up against the airspeed limits that you have because you just don't have a lot of energy. So you need a little more energy to get the crispness you're looking for. Nothing else you can do at that point. So 2 of 8 looks soft to me. Not very good stops. Little positive before the hammerhead, and I can see you pushing a little bit during the hammerhead. Now we have a 2 of 4. There's 1 that's good. Good. Yeah, it could again be just a touch short after, pretty close. Figure 5 is a double Humpty. Pull vertical. Something interesting in your pulls I notice is the I don't know if I can explain this, but I'm not sure exactly what it means, but it could mean that you're dragging the left wing at the beginning of the pull. What I notice is the sight is below the horizon, then pops to the horizon at the end of the pull. So let's watch this. Pull, and then whoop, the sight seems to come up a little suspiciously, like there's something about that you're fixing at the end, and you might be used to fixing it, but just be aware that it shouldn't look quite like that. Pull over the top looks good. Okay, that's closing low. We need a brisker pull at the end of that. Quarter roll looks good. Short after. Pull. Good pull technique. Looks very nice. And pull to vertical. Little on your back this time. And drifting a little bit. The wings moving. Could be your head moving, but I think you're actually moving the airplane around. And there's your tissue paper. That's great. And I guess it's not a safety flight issue. Okay, spin. 1.5 turn spin. We're going to go back to the beginning of that spin for sure, because the nose can be higher here. And that's kind of there's your tissue paper. Okay, that is, the nose is pretty low. It could be another 10, 15 degrees even higher than that. So be aware of that. And it'll make the spin look better, but I think this was a good spin. I remember this is a good spin. Yeah, looks like it might be a little forced. The roll begins before the nose really seems to drop, but that's not something people can see from the ground. I think you should just keep working on your entry to the spin and see if you can get that a little more deliberate. Okay, pull to 45, which are steep again. That's good. Quarter, 3 of 4 opposite. There's 1, and then now we have 1, 2, 3, a little over on the second one, and I think a little shallow after. Hard to tell. We could stop it, but I'm not going to do that, but I think it might be shallow. Okay, next figure is figure 7, which is an S. So from the inverted, pull 5/8 loop, 1.5 rolls, pull 5/8 loops, and then a 3 of 2 on the bottom. Okay, so the pull looks pretty good. It looks a little slow. It should start out slow like that, but it needs to probably get faster at the bottom. It looks like it's probably pretty big. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be pretty big. And now we have to do a 1.5 roll. And I would say the nose is lower after the 1.5 roll than before. And I don't think we get a chance to see the sight. Nope. Pull 5/8 loop. But I think otherwise that 45 was pretty good. And now again, slow is good at the beginning, but unless there's a reason to make it really big, I don't think that's probably the rate of pull you want. And now we have our 3 of 2. 1, 2, 3. Probably the... Okay, you went... Oh, wow, you went right into figure 8. After that 3 of 2, it'd be better to wait a little bit. Let me go back, because I actually missed the beginning of the figure. I was still thinking about the other figure. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, and then we'd wait, ideally. Maybe you don't have that much time, but when I see this as a downwind entry for this sequence, so right, you're actually going downwind here. Well, I can see the argument to make it happen right away, but even better, at figure 7, Victor, you're going downwind, so you pull and make this figure 7's 5/8 loops tighter, but extend the 45 a little bit. I think you can do that. That may be why you're trying to shape those loops the size you are. So hard to judge from the video, but I think this looks a little rushed, and we'd want to ideally make it look less rushed. Okay, anyway, back to this. Figure 8 is quarter roll, 3/4 roll opposite. So there's a quarter, a little over, 3/4 roll opposite. Some interesting nose movement up and down at the end of that I think is telling. I don't think I'll go back over it, but I see something. Okay, 1.5 roll. And then a snap. Oh, interesting. Yeah, so we are going to go back. Okay, let's go back to that because Okay, I'm gonna go back to the start of that figure. Hopefully I can find it here. So 1, okay, good. 2, 3, now we have quarter, and then 3/4. Okay, I definitely see something in your roll technique we're going to talk about. We'll get up here at the top here. Now we're going to have a 1.5 roll, and right here, the nose, this is hard to tell, but I know it happens because of what happened after the roll. You need to keep more forward stick in, because the nose is sliding away from you, and it looks like you're trying to fix it with rudder, and you end up in a bit of a skid right here, where the nose is kind of not pointing where you want to be, and you're kind of waiting until it does. The wing comes up, and you're trying to get it back where it needs to be, and then you go into the snap. The snap doesn't look like a snap. It looks kind of like a snap. Nose comes up, needs to be a little faster if possible. And really, ideally from the cockpit, you'll see in a good snap, you'll see the nose come up, and then you'll see it move in the direction of the rudder. So it's like an L shape almost. It's a little bit of an L. It isn't that distinct, but it'll be a lot more of an L than what I see right now. What I see right now is the nose coming up, and then kind of a roll happening. It's a roll with yaw, but it doesn't have the look of a snap that explodes, because the plane is stalled and the rudder is pressed, and the plane just wants to snap roll in that direction. It should look a little different. It should look like the nose comes up and then actually slides over a little bit as the rotation begins. It's a very yaw focused rotation. So I'm not seeing that. I'm gonna look at it one more time here, not to bore anybody. Right here, roll to the right is fine, and then right here, not enough, definitely not up down elevator. Plane gets skewed, and the snap is about halfway through the snap. It becomes a snap, and I would recommend that when you're doing your snap roll and you're pushing on the rudder pedal, I wish I could remember who told me this. It was a really helpful bit of advice, and if you remember telling me, let me know and I'll credit you, because I say it all the time. But when you're pushing the pedal in for the snap roll, it's like you're just digging your heel in and grinding a bug into the ground. That's what it's like. Like you're just stomping on something and you want to smush it. You got to really push it with force. Stick pops back, foot goes in at about the same time, and then once the yaw rotation begins at that moment, unload and then hook it over. That's the mechanics you want to have. The timing is a little airplane dependent, so I can't give you that, but that's basically the concepts. Okay, and now we're going to have an S, which is going to be a 5/8 loop, a half roll on the 45 down, 5/8 loop, and then 2 of 2. Pretty simple figure here. And you're doing it really big for some reason, which is kind of like how I felt figure 7. You have another S that's also big. Or I guess this would be an 8 and the other one's an S. Doesn't matter. And chopping the throttle. I don't understand why you chop the throttle. When you chop the throttle, you're giving up energy, and there's not usually a good reason to give up energy. But you might have, maybe you want to be lower to the ground. Maybe there's something about that. But I think you could probably avoid doing that. And now the other 5/8 loop, there'll be a 2 of 2 on top. 1, 2. It looked good. That's a good roll. Maybe you lost your heading a tiny bit. I can't tell. Okay, now we have a roller. Great. Before we get into the roller, let me talk about rollers, because somebody asked the question after one of the other videos. So this will be a 180-degree turn with 1.5 inside rolls, which means that every 60 degrees of turn, there is a half roll. At 120 degrees, there will be a full roll. So we could draw that out or map it out and think about what the plane has to do. What I do is, before I do these, I get on the ground and I actually imagine, okay, I'm on this heading, and now I'm going to take the plane, I'm going to roll it, and I'll be on that heading, and I kind of put my body like this, and then I'll be on that heading. I look at the landmarks, and I think about what I'll be seeing from the cockpit at this point and at that point. That's really helpful. So I recommend you do that. And then the other thing is that in any roller, you obviously have aileron that's important. You have elevator that's important. It'll be pull or push right away. And you have rudder input that's important. I did a webinar that covered some of these things. It's hard to prepare for an unknown that includes a roller, but I kind of covered that. I won't go over it all here. But one thing I'll tell you that's really helpful is, no matter what the roller is, whether it's inside, outside, whether you're inverted upright, no matter what, one constant is you always should be leading with the rudder, and the rudder is always in the direction of the turn. That's simple. Now the aileron might be against the turn, it might be with the turn, Elevator might be pull, might be push. A lot of things play into that. I won't go into them. But the rudder needs to go with the turn every time at the beginning. So if you know where you are, what you do, you're there. And you want to go over there, then push the rudder so it'll take you there. That's number one. Now, the other thing to understand is that I didn't cover this before. It's as we see mistakes and we do more of these, I'll cover more and more of this. But fundamentally, the rudder is going to be moving in and out sinusoidally because the airplane is changing orientation. At the beginning, in this case, because he's inverted, he's going to be using, well, I don't know. I can't tell which way he's going exactly. I kind of can, but let's just not do that. Say he's going to go this way. So that'd be right rudder, take it there. But as the plane would roll, this is an inside roller, so as the plane would roll, there's a point at which the right rudder goes away, and now we need left rudder to continue the turn. And that is a sinusoidal movement of the rudder pedal. It is not a stab in and then a stab out. There is always some amount of rudder. It's just moving sinusoidally. And the same thing's true for the elevator. The elevator, in this case, is going to need to push, I believe. I'm not going to, maybe I'm wrong, doesn't matter. But it will be push and then pull and then push and pull. But that elevator and the rudder movement are out of phase with each other. They're not simultaneous. You cannot simply move one with the other. You must move one and then you'll move them out of phase. That's what makes it hard. But that's what it takes to do it correctly. That's why it's so hard for people to do. And then the other thing is the aileron. Well, since this roller, in this case here, it's 1.5 inside rolls, there is no change in direction from inside to outside or vice versa. So you will simply apply an aileron in one direction so that you will be rolling inside. But even so, as you move the rudder sinusoidally in and out on one side, that will either fight or assist the ailerons in rolling the airplane, because the way airplanes are rigged, generally, rudder input also imparts a bit of roll motion to the aircraft. So unfortunately, you cannot simply leave the aileron in one position the entire time. If you do, you'll have to adjust the movement of the elevator and rudder to make it match the effective roll rate of the airplane. It's much easier to add in the aileron and then take it out as the rudder goes in. So there's an out of phase motion of the elevator with the rudders and an out of phase motion of the aileron with the rudder. Easier said than done. It's not easy, but it is doable. And let's just see where you are with this, Victor. I don't know where you are with it right now. Maybe you have a perfect one. But usually what happens is people don't push as hard as they pull. If you think about it, you would want to push the same amount as you pull in a roller, assuming that it ends up equal. This is 1.5 rolls, so maybe not. But in a given roll, you would push as much as you pull. Let's see if that's the case. So if we're going to start off, again, it's a 180-degree turn with 1.5 inside rolls. Every 60 degrees, we'll have a half roll. So I'm going to call out. We're going to just go through the first half roll and see if it's 60 degrees as best we can. So looking straight ahead. Okay, we're going to roll with right aileron, left rudder, right aileron. And now at this point, I can already see that we're behind. There wasn't enough push at the very beginning. I can see that right away. Let's just look at that again. Because we should be at the knife edge point. If we're going to do 60 degrees with the half roll, we should be at 30 degrees of turn with a quarter roll, right? So right there, not enough, and no change in turn here. We've only accomplished maybe 30 degrees, or less than 30 degrees, maybe 20 or 15 degrees of turn in the first half roll. Now to catch up. Let's watch the catch up. And there's the... Okay. I've lost track of where we were with the turn because the tissue distracted me, but you get the idea. Now I think we had... Okay, let's go back here. I lost it. Let's try it again. There's our inverted. Now let's see what happens. We should be doing a 180-degree turn and 1.5 inside rolls. Okay, not really a turn. And now we are at maybe not even 90 degrees. I don't think this roller is 180 degrees, but it's hard to tell with the tissue and the fact. Well, it might be. I can't see everything, but in any case, I'm not going to belabor it. In any case, I don't see the turn continuous. Okay, I just can't see it as continuous, and I don't want to go back over it again. You get the idea. So practice that rudder, elevator movement, smooth. My advice is make your rollers extremely big. Don't try and make them small yet. Let the G's be very, very light. Let the roll rate be extremely low. I tell people to practice 15-second rolls. That means you need like let's say a 25-second roller. Just stretch it out. 1.5 rolls in 25 seconds. Super slow. Just go ahead and let it be really slow. Get it really balanced. Feel your way through it, and then make it smaller and smaller and smaller. A really beautiful roller is wonderful, but it's really hard to do. Even the whack, you'll see people make mistakes in these all the time. So just keep at it. Hey, great flying. I have a lot of comments in my inbox. I got probably 20 emails a day. People really like the videos I did before. And it's just so exciting to see something that maybe people can learn from and to be a part of that. And I want to thank you, Victor, for being willing to show us where you are right now and let everybody take a look at it. Super helpful for everybody. That's what we need a lot more of. I hope you guys out there will do the same thing and follow along with what he's done. I plan to get through as many of these as I can. I'll take a break for a little bit. I am developing a queue. That doesn't mean you shouldn't send yours in, because I can prepare these and stage them out so they can go out, next few weeks, and I'll start getting busy again. I'll start flying again. I won't have time. So it's good for me to have some of these stacked up. And I'd really love to see some decathlons, maybe somebody flying primary. I'd love to see people flying the 2019 sequences. Just be a pleasure to go over it with you guys. Thanks so much for stopping by. Thank you so much, Victor, and I'll see you next time. And now I have to figure out how to stop this thing from recording. Oh, there it is. Bye-bye.